This is the story of a spice that's changed the way people live for thousands of years. It's part of the unbroken thread of humanity that binds us all together. Even now, millennia later, we can find traces of its history in the world around us, just as we savor its presence in so many of our favorite dishes. This is the story of cumin. Cumin is probably native to Iran. It has been produced in India since the very beginning of recorded history. Well suited to the tropical climes of the subcontinent, this legendary spice has even been said to have medicinal properties. In fact, its Sanskrit name, yira, means that which helps digestion. It's featured in the Ayurveda, where its healing qualities have been passed down through the ages. The Ayurveda is a system of traditional medicine dating back to Vedic times, thousands of years ago. This is Sonali Sen, a doctor of Ayurvedic medicine. Sonali, can you tell us about the central tenets of the Ayurveda?
मुझे पता नहीं कि तुम क्या बोल रहे हो, मुझे पता नहीं कि तुम जीरा के बारे में क्यों पूछ रहे हो, तुम सारे लोग गोरे हो, मुझे कुछ पता नहीं, ये सारे पत्ते हरे हैं और ये पेड़ भी बहुत बड़ा है.
That's incredible. So how is cumin used in the Ayurveda?
जब मैं छोटी सी और मेरी तबीयत खराब होती थी, मेरी माँ एक चम्मच जीरा पाती नाल नून और मैं मूंछ पा के फिर पानी पीती और मेरा पेट ठीक हो जाएगा.
Wow. This is basmati rice and these samosas, those staple foods of northern India, feature cumin as one of their prominent spices. You can really taste it too. An amazing flavor that makes the cuisine of India so unique and so special in the entire world. What do these lamb chops, an English delicacy, have in common with the staples of India, basmati rice and samosas? The answer is cumin. Desired in the West from time immemorial, cumin featured heavily in the cuisine of the Roman nobility. In fact, the Egyptians used it in their embalming ceremonies for their famous mummies. The Christian Bible too mentions it in the book of Isaiah. Truly, this was one of the most widely traded luxuries of the ancient world. As the age of exploration dawned, the search for spices like cumin was one of the motivating factors behind the explorations of Vasco da Gama, Columbus, and Magellan. The search for spices was one of the pillars of European expansion in the age of imperialism. But long before that, it was part of what Braudel identifies as one of the world's greatest systems, the Indian Ocean Trade Network. Indian Ocean trade dates back to 600 CE. For the better part of 700 years, these ships were free to sail without the protection from any state's navy. And that was the motive for the next turning point in the story of cumin. This remarkably peaceful system continued unbroken for centuries, and for the first time, goods were traded for a mass market and not just the luxuries of kings and nobles. Cumin and other spices were made available to the masses who used it in staple foods like rice and samosas just as they do today. Driven by monsoon winds, the seasonal trade of the Indian Ocean carried mighty ships from all around the region. They carried ivory and timber from Africa, silk and porcelain from China, rice from Southeast Asia, and spices from India. The trade itself was driven by monsoon winds, mighty forces of nature that have decided the pattern of Indian Ocean trade for thousands of years. In summer, the winds blow north and east, carrying the huge trade vessels from Mombasa, Aden, and Hormuz laden with the goods of Africa and Arabia. In winter, the storms descended from the Himalayas to carry the same ships west from Cambay, Surat, and Keelan, laden with spices like cumin. The trade itself was a mechanism for technological exchange. From China, innovations like stern-post rudders and instruments of navigation met with lateen sails from the Middle East and new metalworking techniques from India. The trade network enabled the flow of goods and ideas halfway around the world, and the inventions, commodities, and thought systems that moved along it changed the world forever. The ports themselves had a lasting impact on the food of the region. It can be said that Indian food is the first truly international cuisine, a composite of the beliefs, practices, and foodstuffs of the Middle East, the subcontinent, and Southeast Asia. India exported millions of tons of cumin over the hundreds of years that the trade endured, ensuring a steady stream of currency eastwards, flowing from the capitals of Europe into the coffers of the kings of India.
The only thing Europeans could exchange for spices from India was silver. This resulted in a trade imbalance, which meant the governments of Europe looked to increasingly more direct and eventually more violent ways of controlling the system itself. The goods and the economy of India were so vastly superior, the only means of entry the Europeans had was to seize those goods at gunpoint.
For hundreds of years, the trade was carried on by mostly Muslim merchants, but was eventually taken over by the Portuguese, the Dutch, and finally, the British. By the 17th century, European ships also carried the spice to China. It was exchanged for silk and other luxury goods, putting in motion events that were to shape global commerce and politics for centuries to come.
The story of cumin is the story of one of the earliest systems of globalization. As the spice spread, the world became a more dynamic and a more interconnected place. As the wheel of history turns full circle, India reclaims her place among the most prominent civilizations on Earth. The story of cumin was a precursor to the world of today.
Na